Okay, people, get excited. Today we're going to talk about the JavaScript CharAt function, which is a very small function that will basically give you a character if you give it an index in a string. But before going into details, let's talk about the prerequisites for this video, shall we? If you have been watching these videos, you basically already know that I want you to be able to understand these two lines of code. The welcome to Cadejo.dev string, the console.log. But for this video, I also want you to be able to tell me what's a string and what's an index inside that string. If you don't know that, that's okay. I made a video a couple of weeks ago where I go through everything you need to know about indices in strings. I tell you how to calculate them, what they are, and most importantly, what's the difference between a string and a character in a given string. So, I'm going to put a link to this video in the description below, and there should be a card right here on the screen somewhere around it for you to be able to watch this video. With that said, let's continue with the syntax of this function. The syntax for the function looks like this. We have a string variable and we're going to apply the CharAt function. We're going to supply a index and the function is going to give us back the character that resides at that index. For example, if we have the string Cadejo.dev and we supply the index of 1, it's going to give us A because 0, 1. If we supplied 4, for example, it's going to give us 2, 3, 4. It's going to give us this J right here. Now, if we supply an index that is out of bounds from the string, for example, 25, it's going to give us an empty string. So it can give us either a character that resides on that index, or it's going to give us an empty string if we give it an index that is not in the string. And before we go into the code, or into typing the code, I want to ask you to subscribe to this channel if you think these videos are useful. Please like this video, please comment on this video, ask me any questions. Basically, this is what's going to happen if you subscribe to this channel. Right now, you and me are Goku, right? Normal Goku. If you subscribe to this channel, you and I, together, we're going to learn a lot of things. So together, we're going to become Super Saiyan Blue Goku. And if you have no idea who this guy is, let me tell you, this guy is way more powerful than this guy. So please like, please comment, please subscribe. Okay, so the cool thing about this function is that it's so small that this should go over faster than all the other videos. We don't have as many edge cases and the base case is very small. So, I'm going to start by making a string, like always. And we have talked about Kali for way too much. Let's talk about Cal, my beautiful cat. Cal is a sweet cat. And let's log what happens when I CharAt characters that are inside the string. So I'm going to do console.log original string .charAt and let's log the character 5. And for good measure, let's also log character 1. So what's going on right here? Well, I hope that you saw the video where I talked about indices, but let's just see if we can make sense of these results. So let me clear my screen. So for 5, it gave us an I, so we should be able to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is exactly the one that we're looking for. And then for 1, it gave us an H. Let's take a look. 0, 1. It's right here. So far, so good. It gives us the character that we find at the right index. Let's talk about what happens when we have edge cases for this function. Luckily, we only have 2 edge cases. What happens when you send incorrect values and what happens when you send out-of-bound values. Out-of-bound values can be values that are either too big or too small. Let's begin with that. So I'm going to send a value that's too big let's say 100, and it's going to give us an empty string. And I'm going to send a value that's too small. Let's say -4. Oops, that's not negative. -4. And that's going to give us an empty string. Let me comment what just happened so that you have it in the source code. Values. Let's do out of bound values. Will result in an empty string. And I'm also going to remove this empty space just because I like it better that way. And then the other edge case is going to be what happens when you have values that are incorrect. Spoiler alert, what's going to happen is it's going to default as 0, and it's going to give you the first character in the string. Because remember, strings begin to count as 0. So let me copy paste over here, and let's think about invalid values. For example, if I have a string over here, that's going to give us the k, because it's an invalid value that will be transformed into 0. If I send a undefined, for example, that's going to give us the same k as well. If I send a null value, it's going to give us the same k as well. What happens if I don't send any value at all? Look at that, that's still giving us the same k, and basically any other incorrect value is going to be coerced as 0. Take a look at that. All of these values are going to give us the first character in the string. Now, for example, if I were to change what's the first character, for example, let's change this k to something like x, it's going to change all of them as x. And that's it. Those are all the edge cases. Those are all the normal cases that you should be aware of. This is a very petite, very cute function, but it's very important for you to know how it works. Before we go, let's add a couple of comments in here. Invalid values will be coerced as 0. And remember, coercion in JavaScript means when a value will be transformed to another value when JavaScript thinks it's the best way to proceed. We're going to have a whole separate video about how coercion works in JavaScript, but for now, that's the high-level overview. To close this video, word on the street is that you have been a little bit sad about the fact that I have not been giving you any homework or activities at the end of the videos. So I decided that that's okay, I'm here for you, don't worry. I'm gonna give you Funtivities at the end of all the videos that I make, or at least as many videos as I can. The Funtivities for today are going to be these two. I want you to tell me, send me an email on my website or put it on the comments or shout it on the street, but tell me what's going on in these 3 lines of code. What's going to be logged when I say CharAt index 5, and what's going on or what's going to happen when I say CharAt index 12. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate you spending some time trying to improve yourself and trying to learn some JavaScript. Have a good night. Have a good day. Please wash your hands. Take care.